So, if we learn one thing from this latest Tesla earnings call, is that Elon is indeed a massive OG. Now, this dude managed to drop 3 massive bombshells during this bore fest. Everybody was falling asleep. It was entirely uneventful, but within this boredom, Elon managed to spice it up with 3 massive bombshells nobody noticed. And now in this video, I'm gonna actually let you know. In case you haven't joined us in the live stream yesterday, don't worry, I'm gonna recap everything you need to know right now without any of the fluff. Now, first of all, as you know in my videos, you always get the bottom line first. I don't know if you have time to watch the entire video or not, and I respect your time. So the 3 items I'm going to be talking about in this video, if you just want the bottom line, is the Model Y anticipation of being the best-selling car in the world, period. The chip shortage revolutionary solution that Elon actually came up with, and of course, the massive prediction about his energy business, which is insane. You absolutely want to hear about this. But if you just wanted the bottom line, here it is, here you go. But if you want to hang out with me, have a beer, have a coffee, let's get straight into the actual conference call. So here's the thing. I don't want you to press nothing, don't click nothing, don't smash nothing. Just listen up because there's a lot of goodies here you absolutely need to hear if you have any interest, good or bad, in Tesla. Okay? Let's get started. If this is your first time here, by the way, my name is Tom. I used to be a senior financial analyst. Now I'm a full-time YouTuber giving you the breakdown of my knowledge of the financial world, the stock market, the mainstream media BS against Tesla, and all that good stuff that revolves around the stock market. Now, there's 3 things that happened within this conference call which you absolutely need to hear about. And before I get to them, and of course, I already told you what those 3 are, I do want to point out a few interesting items that mainstream media seems to be, again, how surprising or not, forgetting. I want to give a huge shout out to the Wall Street media. Now, the Wall Street media is pretty much a coin that I termed, or a term that I coined, whichever you want to take a look at it, which includes the Wall Street gang, the hedge funds, the institutionals, and mainstream media, both with a similar agenda of seeing Tesla fail. Now, these guys put a consensus of 77 cents per share for Tesla to fail because they saw the extremely good delivery numbers for Q1 and they were like, okay, let's put out a number there that Tesla could never meet. 77 cents per share, it's quite hefty. However, much like Coyote and Roadrunner, the Coyote never succeeds. The Coyote always ends up eating dust. Same thing happened here. Tesla beats those numbers with 93 cents per share with a 74% revenue growth, 10.4 billion in revenue in just Q1, increasing the gross margin, essentially outperforming in every single category you can think of, all while dealing with the pandemic crisis, not making any Model S or any Model X, and dealing through the worst semiconductor shortage in the history of mankind, while putting 2 people in a space taxi, self-flying one, with reusable rockets that's going to the moon every 6 months. Of course, I'm talking about Elon here, not Tesla, but I mean, the man has been busy. And at this point, I know a lot of your haters and sons of lovers will talk about the regulatory credits. 500 million, Tom. Look at how much they sold. Well, first of all, let me put things in perspective there, buddy, okay? We're talking about 5% of their revenue. 5%. So chill the hell out. The second part of this narrative is actually the flip side of it, which you and your hater brain are not understanding. If Tesla managed to sell more regulatory credits this quarter than last quarter, that means that the whole argument, the whole narrative about legacy automakers banging on the door chasing Tesla is completely BS. I mean, if they're actually producing more electric vehicles than before, Tesla would have sold less regulatory credits. That's proof that the whole bullshit festival around GM and Ford and all this nonsense about EVs is nothing but a smokescreen. That's just proof. Funny enough, ironic enough, but it is what it is. And one last thing before we go through these actual bombshells and their analysis, you have to understand how good the financial management of this company is. So this company reduced its cash flow by $2 billion. Now they have $17 billion in cash. And one would say, well, Tom, they just lost $2 billion in cash. That's not a good thing, right? Well, check this out. They reduced their cash by $2 billion while purchasing $1.2 billion of Bitcoin, while repaying a $1.2 billion loan, and while building 2 massive factories with the capex that involves. And now let's talk about the actual 3 bombshells Elon dropped in this conference call. And they were definitely hidden. Those were hidden gems. But if you stay with us through the live stream, you heard them. But don't worry, I got you in this video. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Model Y comment, which is literally earth-shattering. He said that the Model Y will be the best-selling vehicle in the entire world by the end of next year, which is 2022. Now, just to put this in perspective, currently, that title is being held by none other than the Toyota Corolla. Now, Toyota Corollas are great cars, no issues with Corollas, but they're selling 1.5 million vehicles annually. That means that Elon is thinking, or Elon is betting, I don't know in this case which is which, but I tend to believe what this man says. I wouldn't bet against him. He just put 2 people in the space taxi. Come on. So he's betting that by the end of 2022, Tesla will produce at least 1.5 million just of the Model Y. Not to mention the Model 3, not to mention the Model S, not to mention the Model X, not to mention the new $25,000 car they're working on. So we're probably looking at 2.5 to 3 million cars in deliveries in 2022, which is going to be an insane growth. We're talking about a company that is growing as of today with startup level growth numbers, but still, you have to remember, we're talking about one of the biggest companies in the world. That's a $600 billion company growing at startup levels. That is insane. I don't think Elon is lying. I don't think he's exaggerating. I think that man delivers on his promises, albeit not always on time, but I'm definitely not betting against him. And if this thing pans out, well, GG everyone, it's a game over for Tesla. Now, the second point that Elon mentioned, which is a huge bombshell, just goes to show you how smart he is and how smart the team he built in Tesla is. Now, the second point has a lot of geek talk, but don't worry, I'm going to decipher it for you, so chillax. Check this out. Elon was talking about the chip shortage. We're currently in the midst of one of the worst, if not the worst, semiconductor shortage in the history of mankind. And Elon was basically answering the question, well, how you motherfuckers managed to produce so many cars with this chip shortage? And he basically gave a geek answer. I'm going to read it to you, and then I'm going to decipher it to human. So check it out. He did it by pivoting extremely quickly to new microcontrollers while simultaneously developing firmware for new chips made by new suppliers. Now, meaning in human, he basically said, while all you other motherfuckers were asleep at the wheel, I saw what's about to happen. I got new suppliers lined up, and I bought up a shit ton of inventory before anybody else in the auto industry knew what's about to happen. Essentially, while all of these others buffoons from the legacy automakers are getting caught with their pants around their ankles, asleep at the wheel, Elon is having a Mai Tai on his porch, laughing it out. While the entire auto industry will be literally fighting for scrap as far as semiconductors, Elon just told you guys, hey, I've secured inventory, I have new suppliers, I'm Gucci. Now, that's just another testament of how great this company is, how forward-thinking, and I can't wait to see what they got lined up next. Now, the third bombshell was massive, but very underwhelming in the way it was delivered. You literally needed to be awake just for 2 seconds to hear Elon say it, but when he said it, my alarm bells went berserk. Now, here's the thing. We heard that call, and you can see it in the financials that the Tesla energy business grew by 100% revenue in Q1. That's not a huge surprise given the fact that they literally said in this call they're chasing away clients they can't meet demand. Their capacity is not even there yet. The other thing he said here in Geek Talk, and I'm going to translate it in a second, is the important bombshell. So he said that he's aiming for homes with solar rooftops and batteries from Tesla to function as a giant distributed utility that can help incumbent electrical utilities to supply customers with all the electricity they need as demand and as extreme weather events increase. Hold up there. What is he saying in human talk? Essentially, him actually saying this is the announcement of step 3. While we know that Tesla can do production, we know that they can do storage, solar roof, Powerwall, we never saw Elon actually go ahead and say, hey, we can also redistribute this centralized energy. This is the first time that I actually heard them talk about it and say, hey, we're already there. We already can redistribute, But this is just phase one, of course. He's talking about extreme weather, emergencies, and whatnot. But what he's saying here is massive because he's saying we have the capacity to go to phase three, not only to produce and store, we can actually redistribute our own decentralized energy. Do you realize how huge that is? I think that thing is bigger than freaking robotaxis. I think that thing is going to be massive. But again, I'm not discounting robotaxis. I'm just not in the robotaxi camp. I'm definitely in the energy camp. I see this as a massive statement that you need to be aware of if you have any sort of vision about Tesla and their future. As always, a huge shout out for our channel members, our Patreons. Let me know below what you guys think, good or bad. I'll see you guys in the next video.